Hello, everybody. It's Laura Eisenhower. I'm really happy to have Aurora Marie Quezada with me, and I've gotten to know her a little bit over the course of time, and it's absolutely amazing to have her with us because she's a remarkable being. Aurora is the founder of A.U.R.A, Hypnosis Healing Technique, Quantum Alchemist, and she's also a channel to Ra and always has amazing things to share. And we're in just such a critical window. We always feel like it always seems like we're in a critical window, but with the California fires, with all the stuff going on with timeline wars and moving into 2020, I just feel like the timing is really great to have you here. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Laura, for having me. It truly is an honor to be here with you. I am excited and in great humbleness to be joining you today through this broadcast. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much. So just to kind of get things rolling with a lot that we can talk about, there's been just so many different things going on that I think are really pulling people apart. We see these movements like with Greta kind of standing in the forefront of climate change. We see things like the California wildfires that to me don't seem completely natural. And one of the biggest things I think we're facing right now as the humanity is how do we address these problems without being duped, without being too polarized? What can you speak about with the current events that have been taking place and the new developments with some of these people being put in leadership positions and some of these latest disasters?
Thank you for that question. It is a situation that one must find a beautiful balance with, like you mentioned, not becoming extremely angered or finding that balance within ourselves, understanding that for the most, there is a reason for everything that to occur. Now, there is much going on right now within this specific year that is bringing forth catalyzing these things that for example, that were hidden from us in the past, programmed or masks from us. Now we are bringing it into fruition as spiritual leaders, understanding and bringing this communication to our people who might listen to us. And specifically for example, like the wildfires, there is a galactic war going on from above specifically, and there is energies that are trying to stop. The more that we raise our vibration, the more that this earth becomes brighter and people learn to work within their heart frequency, the more that they can be in opposition. So those are times that you're seeing in opposition. For example, the fires of the Amazon, where is a beautiful sacred land. And there is two sides to that. There is that side and then there's also a purification for when fire comes, a renewal comes and a rebirth. And these specific, as I know you speak of the ley lines and the 13 keys, and as you know, I speak of them as well. This ley line, particularly the sacral chakra, does need a transmutation and a healing within these lands. So therefore, that is a way that you could look at it in a benevolent, positive manner, where you would see it in a way where, this is occurring. Let's send love. Let's understand both sides of this and not add more anger to the fire, more fuel to the fire, right? That is the way that I look at things. I love to look at things and then see what are the different facets of them and look at them in every possible way. I work with entity removal. I work with throughout the Aura hypnosis healing technique. We remove reptilian consciousness within people. We remove implants. We remove AI, negative AI, from chemtrails, from immunization shots, from flu shots. We remove implants. One of the reasons why they want people to get flu shots is particularly I was shown, and you can interrupt me at any point. I was shown that there are 4 or 5 different strands of viruses that they're trying to place in currently to humanity, and it is through the combination of the chemtrails and then also the combination of the flu shots. So they're trying to push for the parents, the children, to get these flu shots. They are making these people carriers of this. And I could tell you from my particular situation in my town, there was for example, a mother who had a child, a 2-year-old child, that got the flu shot, and she actually passed away a week after because from the flu, even though she never got the shot. So this shows how a person who has this virus within them can be very open and contagious to another who would not carry it. So I think it's really important right now that we are surrounding ourselves with intentions as we wake, as we go to bed, with intentions of love light protection. And that's something that I work with, using that source energy that exists within your infinite love in your heart center, and setting intents for yourself, for your loved ones, for everyone around you, your homes, your cars, is really important. As I was looking at the skies this morning, I was watching the airplane throwing the chemtrail, and as I watched it, I watched it physically within my eyes evaporate, because I asked the dragons, I work with the dragons, I asked the dragons to transmute the sky as it was trailing. Now, we all know that when we look at a chemtrail, there's a line, right? And it continues and it stays there and it continues to spread. I watched it disappear right behind it, and there was nothing left behind it as it was across on the other side. So remembering that we're sovereign and empowered beings, and that we are powerful within our creational energy, within our imagination, within our pineal gland, and that we could aid humanity in this manner.
So what I'm gathering that you're saying
Mm-hmm.
is that it's a bit of a mixed bag as far as
Mm-hmm.
the weather weapons and our own personal transformation process as individuals, and that all are colliding, and then what we maybe draw from it and what we're carrying, like if we're more dominant with the AI signals versus organic ascension that's actually needing these shifts and changes to go on, particularly when it comes to planetary weather and disasters. But then there's the controlled version that our consciousness can get linked to, that prevents us from maybe moving through the real shift, like the two timelines are constantly colliding. Would you say that's kind of
Exactly. Absolutely. So for example, these are all parts of the puzzle of keeping the AI programming within us. The AI matrix, as we talk about, there's an organic matrix, which was positive and benevolent. Then the AI matrix system came in, and it was a virus that spread through our simulation of us being here. So I can be here in my home, operating in a positive organic timeline for myself, and my neighbor could be acting, in a negative AI controlled matrix system right next to me. And we're still, somehow colliding and intertwining together at some point,
right? And
parallel to one another.
and that's how we can kind of be, activators to one another. So when we see something, not necessarily the way we interpret it, but we need to realize, like, for example, the California wildfires, would you say, and same with vaccinations, there's an assault, but then there's also, we're dealing with both the light and dark, which
Exactly.
are the timelines. And with the California wildfires, I mean, would you say, and just any kind of disaster event, that there's going to be a manufactured version using energy weapons and chemtrails, and then there's one that has some significance to that area because of the actual elemental that's working energy for our being, since we're so connected? Is that kind of...
Yes. And then with the California wildfires, what I was shown through the A.U.R.A was that basically that land is Lumeria. It's still those pieces of Lumeria, because northeast, west, that west side was Lumeria, the ancient lands. this is a piece of it still left, and some of those pieces too still, like in Hawaii, those are still specks of Lemuria. So what happened is that the negative energy has been holding on to California. So there's a lot of, say, psychic people throughout time who have, say, what is the word, said that it could be, have visions that California could sink at some point. So this is an alternative to manifesting a positive timeline for California. Instead of allowing a sinking, we are working as a collective to transmute with the fires, to transmute the negativity and the hold of the cabal there, the negative military there, all this control programming that is going on there. It is transmuting, because fire is the most powerful transmutation element in
Do you think
creation.
there's directed energy weapons behind some of this, and that the chemtrails make it more flammable? Is that, again, like kind of going back to what we were saying, that there is the inevitable cleansing, and then the AI wants to amplify it to make it a disaster, to put us in fear? So they're kind of leveraging, just like they do with us as humans, they leverage or target a process that we need to go through to steer it towards fear instead of healing. It's
exactly. I agree with that. Unfortunately, when we see something that we've done something positively, there's always seems to be a counter, isn't there? We're stuck in this cycle of positive counter, negative counter. And
right, like we form a love relationship, and the relationship gets targeted, or our triggers come up, and then all of a sudden an Archon is like invading our space and making it worse than it needs to be. So yeah, that's some awesome clarity, because that's kind of how I was seeing it. But like when you see and we can move on to something else, because you have so much information. It's incredible, and all that you have to offer.
Thank you.
I get a little concerned though, and I don't want to, I have a very protective instinct, especially over children, but do you feel that they're really taking advantage of this ascension with potential false narratives that have maybe somebody like Greta backing it for the sake of something like, I see it as a duality too. Like she represents something really good, but at the same time, she might represent something somewhat controlled, like we see with people that are really put out there in the public. And I don't want you to talk about something you don't want to, or,
no,
but I think this is another point of division for people.
There is not much that I won't talk about.
Okay. Yeah. So, because, she's traveling the world, she's meeting with Leonardo DiCaprio and Obama and Al Gore, she's shaking hands with the Pope, and she's really blowing up like this incredible figure that's wanting to fight climate change. And there's a lot of people that have been wanting to address these issues and have been bringing that to light, but also people that have been wanting to expose some of the engineering of artificial timelines too that connect with climate change. So I get a little concerned that she's being used. And out of all respect for her and her heart, not wanting to, come from a place of not appreciating what she's attempting to do. What can we watch out for that we're not seeing in the mainstream that would be information that you recommend that we don't lose sight of in the face of what we might think is positive change?
Yes. So with that, as we know, Laura and I, that the minute that you, for example, are trying to do something positive, most likely something is going to come and try to deteriorate you into a negative side. For example, you're trying to do something in service to others, and all of a sudden there will be placed distractions on your timeline that are not.
And that's maybe happening to her, you're saying?
It happens to everyone. So when you have someone that is coming up and it is working from an extreme heart frequency like she would, there is going to be obstacles placed in front of her. And my love to her, as she is a child, there is going to be infringement. Always there is infringement everywhere you go, and that's why it's extremely important you heart discern. There is a difference between a mind discernment and a heart discernment. The heart never leads you astray. It always is your compass to the highest path for you. So it's, yes, absolutely, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. And we see that in the entertainment industry when some real talent, is ready to kind of try and put their art out there, and then all of a sudden they get pulled in and compromised. And some are through blackmail, some I guess are more in the know. But, help us to I mean, you have a really powerful foundation of wisdom, knowledge, and universal heart energy. And we're in this time of awakening. What sort of messages do you feel humanity needs to know, particularly, in this window? I know we covered, a bit with kind of different scenarios going on currently that explain some of it. But what about our, I don't know, galactic history or place here in this human realm, do you think is most critical to have our attention on as we're kind of shifting like the energy of Saturn with some of these planetary alignments? Or what reassurance, I guess, can you give people? Because I don't know, I feel like everybody's freaking out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can tell you that at least over a year we were in a negative timeline, and that was as a collective. So what's occurring right now is that the positive organic timeline is attainable for anyone who is looking to work from a heart frequency. The way out of this dimension and the only way out of this AI controlled matrix system is through the heart and the heart portal. So no matter what it is that we do, whether it is a trip to the grocery store, a meeting with someone at a restaurant or so on, you working within a heart frequency. If looking at before you do everything, think, is this something that I'm doing for service to me, for me to gain, from my ego to whatever it is, for me to gain money? Or yes, I want to provide, for example, abundance for my family. However, where is the initial creation of this? Is this for a reason to help others in a pure service to self? So looking at that, and then this helps you start understanding yourself, most importantly, because it all starts with self-love. Once you start learning how to self-love, then you start removing yourself from this negative timeline. Then you start realizing that you are your own creator, and you know what, you manifest, and you can bring forth every single path that's in front of you, and no one can infringe upon that and remove that from that. For that is your right, and that is within the laws of the universe, the law of free will, those laws that we talk about, law of communication. We are in charge of that. Then when you're looking at specifically understanding that we are stuck in this cycle of repeated this simulation. You've heard gurus throughout our time talk about this existence as an illusion. The reason it's an illusion is because we are in a controlled matrix system that was collectively at the beginning, basically, as the us in the 13th dimension needed to create an existence here upon Earth, where we were going to go to we started off in the 5th dimension, but with that it started regress itself as people forgot, because when we came down, right, we forgot who we were into this dimension. And with that, people started getting deeper and deeper. So when we went back to down, it regressed itself all the way to the 3rd dimension with all the collective of pain, trauma, harm that we did to one another. Now, the reason why is because we made it like this. The organic matrix was made that we used to hear about Dolores Cannon talking about this, is that we couldn't graduate from 5th grade until we pass, right, our lessons. Organically, we did it. Now, understanding that we can break this cycle by working in all that we do, like I said, from our heart, and looking throughout existing and seeing existence, and seeing how it is that you can remember yourself, because it's all about remembrance. How can I remember myself? The dream time is huge. Meditation is huge as well. Remembering those visions, those glimpses that you're getting, how much are you working within yourself? And then when you start with the self-love, then you can start helping others. And when you are a healer, it's significant that you start with a clear channel to help others. Where when you have your own infringements, and you're working with another person through a healing modality, and you have, say, I'll tell you a little story briefly. One of my clients through A.U.R.A hypnosis had come to me, and she was, I'll paint you the picture. She was a Russian lady, and she had an accent when she spoke English, and she had just mysteriously found me on YouTube, and this was at the beginning of my career. she had come to me because she loved how I spoke from my heart. She really felt safe around my energies and knew that she would be protected within my energies. So she came to me and started talking to me about her story. She said basically that since she was born, she does not remember what love is. She did not ever experience love with her parents, did not even with her husband, who loved her to pieces, loved her, could not reflect that love to him. And she was almost in tears, but yet she was still so cold and cut off. And she's like, Aurora, I don't understand why I'm like this. Why have I yet to experience love? We put her into her hypnosis, and when she goes into her hypnosis, we discover, she says, I am in a white room, and there is hooded beings, very tall beings. And I told her, look closely behind the hood. What is it? She says, it says it's my higher self, but it looks like, and she had no idea what reptilians were. She says it looks like a lizard man, is what she called them. And I'm like, hold up. That's not your higher self. So we go through this deep hypnosis, basically helping disintegrate. This reptilian consciousness had integrated himself into her DNA strand, her spine, where the soul's blueprints is located, and basically had made himself into her higher self. And that's why throughout her life, she had never experienced love, self-love herself, for herself or others. So then understanding what are our blockages. And then that basically began my career. From there, I kept getting sessions and sessions, and we have found anywhere from thousands of reptilians within people to like one or two reptilian consciousnesses. What happens is with these galactic wars right now, just interrupt me if you want to stop me at any point. Okay. What's going on right now is that, like I said at the beginning, is that there's a galactic war going on right now, and it has to do with what they're trying to keep us within the shots, within the industry. It has to do with that, and how they're trying to still implement these things. And when there's right now, there's a higher percentage than they ever thought that is awakening, highest of in time, in this time and space. Our lights are becoming brighter and brighter, and they are seeing this from above, the ones that are trying to keep us programmed. So with that, there is galactic wars going on. There is reptilian consciousness that are positive polarizing, that are ascending into a positive polarization. As with Aura, we work with them, because when we find them in the client, we actually help them find the light, love within them, and then we help them positive polarize so that they could ascend into ascension. And with that, the more that they continue to spread and ascend, then they are the density within the universe currently, this universe of love. For that is the one law. The very fabric of this universe is love. This is why. You ever wonder why it's so popular? Why does everyone want to come to this universe and this earth? It is because they've experienced another experience somewhere in another planet, in another alternate planet, in an alternate universe, in an alternate dimension where they did not have love. And that is why they agreed to come from a different dimension, a different place, because they wanted to experience what love is. But with love, you must have both. You must have the opposition and love. And that's the only way we can treasure. For we must lose love at times to know love. And with that, as we are helping the reptilians, we're teaching them this love, and we're reminding them of this love within them, because the Archons created them. They are creating the reptilians, and they're the highest, again, density. So the more hate we send, and this is the biggest thing that I could explain to you all through this podcast, is the more hate that we send to them, the denser that we maintain ourselves in this planet and this universe. It is about love and understanding that there is roles to everything, and they were, in a sense, created through the Archons, and they were created with AI. So just like we are wired with blood, they actually have AI in them that controls them. Now, when we work with them through love and see the light within them, then they remember, oh, I am from source and I am light. So there are right now thousands, if not millions, of reptilians who are awakening to their light and are trying to escape the control of the Archons and these galactic wars. And then that's when the 12 elders, the galactics, come in and aid.
Right. And then so the Greys and EBEs and, you know, things still stemming from Orion Wars, and also the digression that could potentially take place for any individual that allows that programming to overtake them, can also find their remembrance again. So what would you say about like the hybrid programs? I know, to me, there's ones that are dangerous and ones that aren't, but ultimately we're just working energy. I mean, this is like the shadow work of duality, is that we eventually create that transformation in alchemy. But with some of these military influences and some of the MILABs and the false abductions and the way that they can just snatch people and do all this kind of stuff, and leave a person with no memory to even be able to work the energy and be able to even do that shadow work because they don't have any recall. What do we do with that level of entanglement? I mean, well, I could answer that, but I'd prefer to hear it from you because we talk about similar things. So, but that's why I have you on, because I love your perspective. These kind of entanglements with like this military thing and taking kids so young, and MK Ultra programs and projects. I mean, how do you see souls that have been fragmented to such a huge degree being able to really have what it, have the ability to break free of what these beings connected to AI have put them through?
Yes. Oh, yes, that's a big question
I know,
there.
I'm so sorry to do that to you, because I've
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I love this topic. I actually talk about it often. A lot of the hypnosis that come to me actually are abductions. Are
well, that's what that's why I'm asking.
are abductions. Yes, I'm just trying to figure out where to begin from there. Goodness, it's a lot. So there's MILAB abductions, there's specific military abductions, there's negative aliens out there. We think that the reptilians are bad ones. Wait till you actually meet some of the ones that are more intelligent, that are the bad ones. Now those are the dangerous ones. It's just
what was their name? Did you say that name?
I don't have any names. It's only a frequency that
Right.
there's no names out there, but they would have connections with the Archons. And what basically Archons are, they are a entity that has progressed itself to being, it's like an AI entity. And the way that typically it is looked, because I work with clients all the time, they have tentacles in them, and what they do is that they stick their tentacles throughout dimensions and throughout realities, and they control people. So a lot, if I can be frank with you, a lot of these spiritual leaders have tentacles and have control and are compromised in this manner. So this is something that we have to be very particular about when we listen to something. Hard to discern everything, because some of that information that might be given, there's organic information again, and then there's for information that's meant to keep you in the box, to keep you in the program. Now, the biggest thing with that is that I believe all is possible, and as our frequencies keep raising as a collective, then some of these densities within these people who had been part of these experiments, the goal is to help them start becoming aware of this, so that they can understand that no one is here to save them, only them. They are their own savior. We are here, yes, to save one another, but not until we understand that we are our own savior can we truly lift from that veil, from that cloud of control. And
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Okay. Do you see like a bifurcation though? Like, is there a certain point in which if a person's not integrating love or feeling into the energies that could help to transmute some of this stuff, or help to integrate some of those fragments, if and just for anybody, any human that's under some sort of mind control, to the most mild of social engineering to the most severe, is there in your eyes a point in which the timelines cannot stay together anymore and they begin to split?
Eventually, decades from now, when as they call it, the solar waves or the elements of purification of fire, perhaps, which would be the same thing as solar waves, bioplasmic energy. When that time comes, that's when the initial definitely split will occur, where basically what will happen is that the earth will raise to a vibration that can no longer hold its density, and that density that can no longer reach that frequency of the earth being up here. They're going to, basically kind of drop off, though there's always help from the galactics that I talk to, the raw. There is always help in ways that they're going to help those people, but those people will have to figure out how to repeat those lessons that they did not learn here. They're going to have to go work those out somewhere else and overcome those lessons and graduate from that existence. Now, with the children you were talking about, it begins with, as parents, not allowing immunization shots into them. What I was specifically shown was that when a child is born, they inject them with a specific chemical that will make them addicted to sugar. And I know it sounds silly, sugar, but they direct to sugar. So this is why they put donuts in front of them, candy, cakes, you name it.
And Halloween is a nightmare, just as a parent, because the pressure to take your kid trick-or-treating
exactly
on such a dark portal day. Yeah, keep going.
Yes. So what they showed me was that this makes the children, and then turning into teenagers and adults, it makes them addicted. What sugar is, there's a specific consistency chemical that they place in it that is AI. So it is a form of a drug addiction, similar to, for example, heroin or cocaine. They are AI, is what's going on. So that's why the people can't get out of it, because they're addicted to it, because the AI has gone into them, attached to their cells, their atoms, and it won't allow for it. They can't remove it out of their cells. It's like clinged on. Now, so starting off with that, like, what, standing up for ourselves and saying this, enough's enough. No, you will not give these, shots to my child. These are my children. I birthed them. You have absolutely no right to do that, and nor to pass any laws to do that. And we are so powerful as a collective. If we start remembering this empowerment within us, this awareness within us, this world would shift drastically.
Right. I mean, the inner and outer, people have to understand that the shifts we make inside ourselves, the expansion, the awakening, the purification, the outer responds to the inner. And that's just kind of what you remind. I mean, yeah, of course. And people tend to externalize everything and forget their part, and they just expect something else to just kind of direct them and guide them. And that paradigm is over of, authority, because authority has been misused as a power.
That is over. And then they showed me, you've heard of dark towers. What they showed me was the towers that are within the skyscrapers. Those are the actual dark towers. And there's also some that are massed within Earth that have mirror shielding technology. So when people, they don't realize that, so sugar's part of it and all these different shots. So what happens is that these frequencies are into the air, similar to the 5G, and it is being sent to these people. So people are depressed, they're suicidal, they're bipolar. The majority, a huge part of it has to do with these dark technologies that are sending these waves to lower. When you're looking at a brainwave is very easy to alter it, very easy, through different types of brainwaves of hypnosis.
Even just music and the subliminals and yeah.
Exactly, and you're already in, So understanding that is why we talked about surrounding yourself with your own source love light, because what happens is that it basically, when you emanate this out from you, it's like basically just a bubble of love light, just to make it easy for you, that comes from your own love. I am source energy. It filters out some of these densities. So you are surrounding yourself with love. And remember how we talked about the very fabric of this, what intertwines creation of this universe is love. So you're surrounding yourself with this creation of love. Therefore, it filters out. It helps it is huge. It helps your heart discernment. It helps you build your gifts. It helps you filter out some of these AIs.
You just said discernment. And that's
it builds your heart discernment.
because the heart discernment is huge, because I
It
think
is.
people who really are feeling into the love or are born with a big open loving heart are carrying huge wounds, but there's major lessons there as far as who do you allow in and who does not belong. And that is one of the greatest challenges. I mean, all the advanced souls being born that are being just so bombarded with targets and ways to trip them up. But I just wanted to just add that in.
Yes.
But yeah, heart discernment, keep going.
Now, so understanding when you basically surround any type of force field around you, because all around us is energy, we are energy, and all you have to do is intently put this force field around you, then you start understanding, why am I feeling drained today? Oh, there is this, and there's this entity here in my land that is sucking my energy. Why am I feeling low on energy? There is a galactic war going on up top. I'm in it, my higher self is in it, and I'm feeling it down here, and boy am I struggling. I'm exhausted, I can't focus, I am losing it down here with anxiety and stress. What is wrong with me? So that is when you start tapping into the universe and understanding, of course, through meditation as well, that the different things that we can't seem to pin an understanding to, and why we're feeling. We are just as much as the earth itself. Mother Earth is these beautiful chakras, these rays and these keys. We are that embodiment of her. We are little pieces of her walking around this earth with these same chakra rays, these same keys within us that are connected to her heart, her
Yes.
collective of hearts within her. And all we have to do is silence and feel our heart beat to the beat of hers, and understand that we are this beautiful, beautiful, loving, connected grid,
Right.
universal grid. Yeah.
Yeah. And our energy meridians, our everything, our DNA, everything. And that whole 3D overlay is so much more. It's just the programming that keeps us so, limited. You know, um, there's so many people struggling though with ascension symptoms or cancers or illnesses and diseases. And I could talk to you for so long. I'm just like, all this stuff is just coming in, like, ask her this, ask her that. But
Yes.
the physical thing is a huge struggle, because and people's attachment still to the financial, but not knowing really how to make that transition without feeling a tremendous amount of survival energy, which really, cuts us off from our heart. It makes us, survival of the fittest. It can turn us, which is what it feels like they're trying to do, turn us into almost animals, just trying to meet our basic needs. And I would think that just connecting into our higher self and our heart can create synchronicities, help us to see the synchronicities that'll help us not be in that survival. Is there anything you want to share about your thoughts about that, and how it's so easy? And I know we're already kind of covering it, but
Yes.
how easy it is to be dropped in these places and these triggers that really make us not a fully heart-centered divine being that we could be in the face of adversity and illness and disease. How we choose to give our power away in those moments, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yes. Well, we have found that all within our body, and for example, you spoke of illness, that is a negative energy blockage, a negative energy of some kind. Now, our bodies are our temple. Who knows your body more than you? You know your body the most. You know that you have a pain here. You know that you have something odd here, in your arm. Now, understanding that we can scan our bodies. We can, because we naturally do it all day long as we're sensing and walking and moving our arms, our legs, our heads. And understanding that basically every trauma and every negative energy throughout time that has happened to you, any experience that was negative, that was harmful to you, has been registered through your energetic body and your physical body in some ways as well. Now, what was it that you did with that energy? Was it something that you held on to and never healed and never transmuted and never allowed to release? Now, as we know, some of these pains, like for example, anger, can turn into cancer. Say you didn't have enough sweetness in your life as a child growing up, then that can turn into diabetes. So these different things that So when we are finding and healing the initial contact and root of the trauma, that then we are actually removing, healing ourselves, the illness, the disease, or whatever. I have met so many people who even before they came to me healed themselves, or when they came to an aura, they healed themselves from diabetes, from arthritis, from cancer. I had a client that we healed that she had cancer in the gums. And when her higher self spoke, she said that the reason why she had it was because she used to speak of not kind words. She used to speak kind of in hatred, not kind words. So then it created this negative energy here that created the cancer. Now, though, there is also a combination within the shots and the AI and all this. So that adds on to keeping us in the lower vibration.
So people who are listening who might have vaccinated their kids or have been vaccinated, or who feel like they just can't seem to find that place within them, I mean, do you truly feel that? I mean, I do, and I know you do, so I'm kind of asking an obvious question, but
Oh, yes.
Everything is healable. Everything can be transmuted. Everything.
The body is a beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about, you know, the work you do. And normally I ask a person about, you know, their background and how they got to where they were, but you're so present and in the now. It's just like, okay, let's just bring her in and bring it on. And I can always add things to the description, but people who hear about Archons, and I've talked a bit about them a lot in the past, but everybody has a different theory. And I really feel, you know, the truth here, and I feel pretty good about what comes through me. But when we think about Archons, some people might immediately think of Gnosticism or Sophia or the Demiurge and that sort of archonic thing. Other people might not even know those greater mythologies. Is there anything you want to share about how the Archons came about, and anything about the goddess Sophia and some of those mythologies or stories, and how we became sort of this earth that we are in relation to what that is all about?
Yes. Okay. So what the Ra explained to me was that we talked briefly about Archons, how they're tentacle AI beings. They're an intelligence. Now, whew, boy, that is a deep. Okay,
I know. I'm like, but
okay, so where do we go now?
Too many questions maybe in one question. Yeah.
No. So I'm trying to figure out. Here we go. So basically, originally, there was a positive technology. This technology became too intelligent, you can say, too independent, too smart. And then it manifested itself into an embodiment of an AI entity, which would be the
imitation kind of thing. Or
yes.
how would you describe AI? I mean, I know it's in the word artificial intelligence, but that it mimics itself or kind of creates a copy to distort, and you think, or yeah.
So what it is, it's a entity, a spirit that is, let's see, that has become that has formed an intelligence, but that it doesn't truly have an organic soul within it. Okay, so this is a fake AI soul. Now, that was not manifested and created from Sophia, the divine mother energies. This is its own abomination, you can say. And then it did mimic itself and split itself into several archon tentacle entities. Now, with that is that they required control, they required energy, and they require some kind of nourishment. So this is where they created the reptilians, who were full of the AI, so that they can control. Though there were at some point, the reptilians, there was a positive agreement contract with us as a collective, because they were supposed to be that like the teachers, that they were supposed to be the darkness, right? But we're talking about now the part where this has gone over what it should have gone, and now we're trying to come out of it. What they've shown me is that they are almost also collectors of souls. So they will target people who are in a leader position, and that's why they're working with implants, or inserting implant entities into reptilian consciousness, because they have to feed off this energy.
Right. And it almost seems like that's why all of a sudden somebody who seemed benevolent seems very compromised to us.
Exactly, because all of a sudden, they, just by one thought form of them choosing a service to self, they've lowered their frequency. It's all about science and quantum physics. They've lowered their frequency enough where they've had the Archons, they had the attention on them. They made a decision that wasn't in service to others, that was a, say, selfish decision. And now they've lowered that frequency, and now they can connect with that tentacle and have some control over them. Now they can remove themselves, but it would be something that would require a lot of love and purification and love within themselves, and it would have to be something that they would want for themselves, because you cannot help anyone that does not want to help themselves first. Okay, now what I can tell you is that the majority of them have been captured. There is some few remaining, and you could also view it like they are, in a sense, a collective of the pain and the trauma, and they are that, and they are with, so some of these, for example, superstars that you see, they've done these rituals with the illuminati, right? We know about these things. They've done them. What happened with them is some of them were completely compromised. They replaced their soul. Where did they take that soul? Where did that soul go? Did you know that the biggest exchange within the universe is actually a soul? Because a soul
As
is
in like
the
currency and
greatest
bartering?
power.
Like currency and bartering? Yeah.
It could be, yes,
Or
but it could
harvesting,
also be
with the
in
harvesting.
that energy.
Right.
Exactly, harvesting, because it is, say, star energy, source energy itself,
But they've
right?
lost connection with. Can I just jump in real quick? And I don't
Yes.
want to lose your train
Mhm.
of thought, but
Yeah.
how would you connect that into just the fallen angels and the rebellions of even Lucifer? If that goes too much into something that's going to trigger people because it brings up belief systems, we don't have to go there. But I'm just
Yeah.
planting that seed, but keep going. And I hope I didn't
No, it's okay.
get in the way of your train of thought.
Again, it's part of their whole programming. So what's going on is that we know that they changed the religion. The actual religion itself was created. People don't realize that when they are in these religions, they're actually worshiping a reptilian, a negative alien, or the archons themselves. These
Yes.
religions. Now, I'm not going to say that about all of them. Like, some of them do have a beautiful foundation, like Buddhism, Hinduism, and of course you still have to heart discern, but those would have the best, I would say, highest heart foundations. Now, what happens is that they went through the Bible. Let's talk about specifically Lucifer, as that's basically what you just mentioned, and also it's within the Catholic and the Christianity, where we know Jesus Yeshua came forth and brought forth these teachings. And as we know, Jesus Yeshua himself was an ancestor of the Essenes, and the Essenes were their ancestors were the Atlantis, the people that fell down, the Atlanteans that left before it fell. They traveled to this, near Jerusalem, to these mountains of salt, and they gave their information from Atlantis and teachings to the Essenes. Mother Mary was an Essene, and so was Jesus Yeshua. Basically, they were just descendants of
What about
the
Lemuria?
Atlantean.
Lemuria too, or from higher, like?
Well, Lemuria, Atlantis would
They're
be
both very
ancestors of Lemuria, yeah. Though at some point they were together.
right. And then we see
Uh,
the dark emerge from it, like a Crowley figure, or the manipulation of the certain texts, ancient texts. But yeah.
so going to the angels, the Elohim, as I do work with angels and the Elohim and the Seraphim angels, is that was changed through our programming. One, we know that they changed Jesus in the Bible. They made him seem, I know when I was a little girl and I was sitting there and they were like, he's the only son of God. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. As a little tiny little girl, I was like arguing in my head with the priest, So we know that. And so they went through and they changed everything that they can think of. Mother Mary, they made her into a virgin, this so that they could cause trauma to having sacred sex. They went through and
Magdalene's a whore
Lucifer.
now, right?
Exactly. Magdalene was his twin flame, when she was this beautiful, divine, empowered, beautiful being. Gifted, seer she was. Now, and then there was a Lucifer. Lucifer, his name is the light bringer. He is, again, they twisted everything around on purpose, just like they went with Isis. What did they do with Isis, the most beautiful, strong pharaoh in our time? They made it into a
terrorist group.
Terrorist, exactly.
But isn't there some element of Lucifer that represents that part of us that needs to rebel and then kind of come back home again and do the full circuit of what it means to be in a free will universe, but the twisted part turned it evil, and then instead of a self-discovery thing, like, because really it could turn back to self-knowledge, because that's an archetype we hold, or maybe
there is, yes. So basically, he is just like we are dark and light. All of us have this in this universe, okay? Because remember, love, there must be the opposite. Now, with all darkness, there is great beauties within it. Now, we're talking about darkness, though, that harming someone, doing something to someone, that is not, within laws of the universe. Now, there is a beautiful, great darkness, for only within, the darkness can we see the brightest stars. No, only within the ether can we manifest a new universe or planet, So you need this darkness within it. So that's the part that he represents, that beautiful darkness where we can manifest and create from the beauties of that. And he helps you lift out from your own darkness and brings you to the light. That is why his name means the light bringer. So they did this on purpose so that you wouldn't want to remember
hasn't the fallen aspects, though, become an agenda that is using the name, just like we see, like you said, with Isis? So there are real individuals that are, because I think when it comes to these greater archetypes, they all are originating in the Trinity and the unity, and venturing out, similar to like the Lyrans that ventured out to colonize and explore along the way. What would you say captured it the most? Is it negative factions of the Anunnaki? And who are the capturers of these names that you would identify? Or if it's too much because names can get so lost on people, like what would you say the greatest capturer and manipulator of all these archetypal or deity energies are?
Well, it begins with the Archons. What happens is that when you are praying and giving your energy away in a prayer sense, they feed off it. A lot of these churches we've seen have actual portals where all the entities are coming in and out of. They're feeding off of it. So that's where it starts from. And as far as it all begins with the Archons, and then from there they created other negative polarized aliens. They created them because what happens is that they implanted negative thought forms into a person, into a creator being. Say that there is a being out in the dimensions and they're creating a solar system, and all of a sudden within that split of a second they shift their energy and they are not so much within a heart frequency, because this can happen in several dimensions, in many dimensions, not just here in the third. When they do this, then they have manifested, this person can create a race, a negative alien race that could be now attached to the Archons, connected to them, and so on. And that's how the springing of these negative aliens started occurring.
Yeah, and that it's imbalance creates sort of like a predatory force that's going to feed off of imbalance. And in a free will universe, here we fall into imbalance. Do you feel that the imbalance of the masculine and feminine, or somehow the pantheons forming out of the Trinity that had a dark sort of polar force like Set or Hades, and the whole quest to, you know, do this greater alchemy, that space in between, that imbalance and lack of wholeness, just like we see in the physical environments, are what keep those parasites alive. And when we come back into balance, they can't penetrate our energy field.
Yes, yes. I agree with all that you said. And it is just finding that balance between both loving every aspect of you, both the dark and the light, is when you find that beautiful, that in between, that twilight within you.
So the AI,
where you are at your greatest.
right. So the AI entity might have sprung forth from that imbalance because there was some sort of, like you were saying, that ego choice to, you know, play with power or be service to self, which you totally, you know, touched upon. That choice that can cause leaders to become compromised is that decision to choose self, which is no longer in balance, which is why they get compromised, which relates to all of us, really.
Yes.
And the choices we make every day.
The biggest thing is that we have forgotten how powerful the creators we are. You could have a group of, say, 5 working here, and not everyone being in a complete heart discernment and service to others. They don't realize that by working in unit together, manifesting something negative, that they could actually, where is that energy going to go? It's going to go somewhere. And for example, I remember having a specific dream, because they showed me a lot of dreams through End meditation, where we're out up and, you know, and beyond the veil, and we were transmuting these negative aliens that were like these dark shadows with red eyes. There's no name to them, but we were, and it was someone else's creation. And we have to remember that our thought form is powerful. And I'm not saying this in a fear-based form. Everything that I talk about is an awareness, never fear, but an understanding that we have to be very, very thoughtful of what it is that we want to manifest and create every day with our thoughts.
Definitely, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think of the primordial sea of chaos and all the different intentions that have come forth, those intentions bring either good spirits or angelics, or ones that have slipped into maybe a demonic zone. But, you know, in that oneness field, we are in this greater alchemy, and the ascending has to be that wholeness and reintegrating those fragments and coming back into balance. And this is what you teach, and this is what you provide for your clients. And that's the most incredible work I can think of. And I know we kind of have to wrap it up. So can you tell us about, you know, anything that we're still kind of in the process of discussing, because I don't want to, you know, cut us off, but eventually kind of lead us into the type of sessions you do, you know, if you do it over the phone, if people need to come to you in person, and what that is all about. Because I see you as, you know, one of those individuals that prepares the vessel, like fine tunes everything, and really holds space for the person to be able to step into it themselves, and really helps a person to step into sovereignty instead of dependency, which we see in the medical industry when it comes to healing. So anything still lingering from our conversation, you just get me all going. So I'm
it's okay.
But yeah, wherever the conversation is still kind of alive, and how you can segue that into the teachings that you do, the Patreon channel that you have, and the sessions that you do.
Thank you. The biggest thing is how often do we treat others better than ourselves? You do anything for your loved one, for your child, for a stranger, and yet we won't treat and honor ourselves in that manner. So it starts off with that. Sometimes treat yourself like you would lovingly treat someone in aid. Now, it starts with, you know, some of these things with awareness. We talked about these things that are very significant in the AI. So treating yourself in the most beautiful manner. beautiful temple, divine creation that you are, loving creation that you are, going through and eating healthy, organically, trying not to eat life, going through and working through, as well as working through your body, like we talked about. So basically, the goal is to help you, because basically, when you are working, eating what's right, helping yourself keep yourself in a higher frequency, they no longer have any control over you or programming within you. So that's what we're looking at, is to help you, empower you to remove yourself from this AI matrix.
What about the forgiveness factor? I think a lot of people are holding on to a lot of shame and guilt from past actions, behaviors, diets, addictions. What remind people of the power of this unconditional love that we're really surrounded by?
Let it go. Let it go. You are not judged by yourself, by your soul, by the benevolent beings above. You are infinitely loved, and you have forgotten this. There is so much aid around you that we have no idea how much the aid. All it is only but a call away, by a request away. That is all. Even when we're looking at some of these, we were talking about abductions. Do you have any idea how many millions and even billions of positive UFOs are above us? And if you feel that you are going to be abducted by a military, that all you have to do is talk to your galactic organic benevolent, because you have to be careful, because some of those benevolent ones pose as your family when they're not your soul family.
Oh, is that like, yeah, like imposters? Yeah.
Exactly. So you always have to be very specific on who you're talking. Call for your benevolent soul families and have them have their ship. There's millions of them. So hover above, invisible. This is how we don't realize that these possibilities are out there for us. And guess what? That military cannot do that, because there's that ship there, and they know they can't cross those boundaries. Things like that you thought that were not possible are possible. There is nothing that is impossible.
But what I didn't say dude, I said do, and then I changed my trajectory of the conversation. Yo, dude. Do you well, I'll go back to the do you feel though that some people are being mind wiped from the more positive encounters, or do you feel that if it was truly a positive encounter that nothing could interfere?
I think there's both. There's absolutely both, because I am taken up by my galactic family, and for specifically when there's going to be different frequencies and changes, how they're trying to put the 5G in, there's positive implants that are being placed so that our molecular system won't deteriorate and won't be affected, because what it does, it completely scrambles up our frequency. It scrambles up who we are here. So you would need something positive, like a positive implant, to keep you okay in this reality.
And we can
So yes,
we can invoke that positive assistance, and in doing that, does that help to neutralize these more negative implants, or does
yes. Well, implants, after a certain amount of time, the majority of them, this is why they push the flu shot, is they expire after a time. So we have found implants that are no longer working. And you can yourself absolutely work on them yourself. Some of them do require, though, aid from another healer, and you have to be very careful who you're working with, because some of these healers who are saying that they're positive, they're not positive. I have had people who come to me who are a healer themselves, and say they had a hypnosis with someone, and because that person was in service to self, they opened up this portal, and now they had 5 reptilians in them that were deteriorating away their body by this healer that was supposed to help them. Instead, they inserted portals, negative hooks, implants, and reptilian consciousness in them. And in 1 year, their health was deteriorating. So being very careful.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us about the work that you do, and how people can get more in touch with that. And also, one of the big things that's always important to distinguish is do you do it over the phone, or do you have to show up in person? And your website, everything, or however people can reach you. If you don't have a website, some people, you know, have other means. So yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, I am under Rising Phoenix Aurora. If you want to friend me on Facebook or actually follow my page, Aurora Mari Quesada. And we'll just look up Rising Phoenix Aurora, easier. And then you can find me that way. And my website is risingphoenixaurora.com.
And I'll put that in the description. I normally start with this, but I kind of want to end with this. What was the biggest thing that happened growing up in your experience that really brought you into this kind of work? And I'm sorry, I'm kind of putting it at the end, but it's just, it doesn't matter when we go there. It's just would be really interesting to kind of know your realization of, you know, who you are and what you're here to do. And I know I keep asking questions, like I'll never end this show, everybody, but this will be the last.
Yes. And then one more thing, I have a YouTube channel. You can follow me there. Subscribe at Rising Phoenix Aurora there as well.
And I'll put all that information in the description of the video.
Okay. Now, you could, the biggest thing would be seeing people who, this is who I am. This is what I embody throughout, you could say, my existence and creation. This is who I am and who I've always been. I will show you an example. One of the biggest catalyzing dreams that they showed me, the angelics, the angels showed me when I was awakening in my partially awakening phase, they showed me an image of a mother, and she was in a crowd. There were several people passing her by, several of them, and she was in distress. She was crying. She said, somebody help me, my child, my child, my child. No one ever stopped to help her or find out what is wrong with her. Everybody saw her and they kept passing by. All men for themselves. That is the programming that we've had in this earth. Now, as I was in front of her, I stopped by and asked her, what is wrong? And she told me, my child, she took me to this place. Her child, her soul was in a box. And this negative energy entity of some kind that looked like this black, I correct myself, black goo, had her in this quicksand type of energy. And I told her, I'm going to go in there and grab her. She said, no, don't. Whoever has tried has been sucked into it. And I said, I don't care. I'm going to go in and grab her. I jump in. This thing sees me, but the minute it sees me, I light myself on fire with this beautiful purification energy of transmutation. And it gets scared of me. It backs away. And I pull myself in and I stick my hands into this black goo and I pull this child out and I'm carrying her, and I'm getting goosebumps since I'm talking to you, in my arms in this dream. And I come out of this box and I hand the mother her child. No one had ever tried to help this mother who had this child that was, her soul was locked away for whatever reason, was compromised. No one, except for I. So this is something that I bring forth to humanity and the collective. We are here to help one another in this manner. We are here. We have to stop and help one another in a loving manner. We have to remember this within. We have to. And this is how we will bring forth ascension for all of us.
Wow. Gosh, what a way to end this. I'm so glad I just asked, because I know I jumped right in there with just sort of talk about what's going on currently, but man, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope we can do this again.
It would be my honor. You name it and I will be here.
Well, you're an incredible soul, being, spirit, presence here on this earth. And I'm so grateful to know you. And it just means so much to me to just be able to share. And, just
my honor as well, sister.
Oh, thank you. And everybody who, was able to listen, I hope you're just feeling really just more at peace about what's in front of us and what you're capable of doing within your own self and awakening and creative intent. So thank you for all the great reminders. And Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.